We are going to wait for everyone to get started here in a couple minutes. And Waring, I do apologize for bringing you in and putting you back in the waiting room a couple of times. So thanks for your patience. Okay. I am so sorry. I was muted. Zoom technology. Yay. We're jumping right into this. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bonnie Mahl, and I am the Education and Training Coordinator for the Virginia Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. And I'd like to welcome you all today for the Training Blitz, all about education outreach, COVID-19 programming, and success stories. Today is an opportunity to hear from your fellow soil and water conservation colleagues. The word canceled has become a big part of our vocabulary these couple of months. And my goal is that by hearing the stories and seeing these presentations today, that you leave encouraged and inspired, and that you see how even working through a global pandemic, outreach programming can still occur. And these are just some of the success stories that are happening with soil and water districts in Virginia. This past July, I met with soil and water district staff by area. And through those conversations, I learned about the programming that you're going to see today. But there's so much more programming that is occurring throughout districts that I really want to recognize that, even though we didn't have time to recognize all of that today. So thank you to all the education staff and all the soil and water district staff who are out there still doing their work, still meeting with customers, still meeting with producers, still providing programming, still working with what you know best in this environment. So how our program is going to work today is some little housekeepings first. If you can just leave yourself on mute. The chat box, which at the bottom of your screen, you will see is a place to ask questions. We're going to use that chat box feature as a way to ask questions for our presenters. Michael Tropp, who's with the John Marshall Soil and Water Conservation District, will be monitoring the chat box and will be asking those questions to the presenters after the presenters speak. We have 6 presenters today from each of the 6 areas. And we'll start with area 1. This session will be recorded and then put on our YouTube channel. And so our presenters will present, and then we'll have about 5 minutes for questions for that presenter, and then we'll move on to the next presenter. And at the very end, with any remaining time, we'll open it up to any questions for any of the presenters. We have 2 hours, so my goal is, again, that you guys leave encouraged and inspired, and just a chance to share stories and ask questions that you're curious about to the different presenters. So again, welcome. and we will get things started. So from Area 1, we are going to hear from Mr. Tim Miller, who is with the Mountain Castles Soil and Water District. So Tim, show us your, take it away.
Awesome, thanks, Bonnie. See if I can get this to work, right? Okay, everybody see that, hopefully? Okay, so yeah, my name's Tim Miller from Mountain Castles Soil and Water Conservation District, and we are here sort of in the southwest, upper southwest corner of the state, I guess. Botetourt and Craig is our service area. We've been fortunate enough to have schools that are in session at least part of the week. So we have students who are in K2, they're going 4 days a week, not on Wednesday. In all the other grades, they're doing an AB schedule 2 days a week, either Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. So we have students in the classrooms. At the beginning of the semester, we reached out to teachers, assuming that we would not be allowed in. And a couple schools got back to us and said, oh no, please come. We want you to do things, especially outdoors. So we pivoted a little bit from our in-classroom stuff to do more outdoor activities. This is a garden we were able to put in at one of our elementary schools. We've done this at a couple schools now, and actually we're getting ready to harvest some this week. This is in 2nd and 3rd grade. So that's been really exciting. So I know it's a little late to start thinking about gardens now, except Journey North, there's a tulip test garden. So that's something that you might consider. Usually we plant tulip bulbs in November. So that might be an opportunity to reach out to schools and potentially do that, or arrange for them to do that. If you're not familiar with Journey North, all kinds of really cool activities related to season change. One thing that we've seen with schools is while they're working hard on the online stuff and the written material, struggling a bit to have hands-on things. Data collection is a big focus of our district work for students. So any chance that students could have to collect some data, I think can be super, super important. Another good one is Project Feeder Watch coming up this winter, where students watch birds at the feeder, either through the paid program or just do it on your own as a free setup that classrooms do. I think is a great opportunity, something we hope to do more of this winter. Something else that's different for us is a YouTube channel. I know lots of districts have kind of gone to YouTube. I wanted to show you a quick clip from one of our videos just to show you that anybody can do this. And they call me One Take Jake, right? So here's going to be a little clip of our trip to the watershed video. Let's see if I can hide this. So it's a few seconds of this one.
Hey, this is Tim Miller with Mountain Castle Soil and Water Conservation District. We're going to do a trip through the Ellis Run watershed today. It's kind of a special day because we're right at the end of a pretty heavy rain event. So it's been raining for what seems like years, but really about 3 days. But we've gotten a lot of rain, so anywhere between 5 and 7 inches have fallen in this watershed. So a lot of water. I'm currently at the top of the watershed, so not a lot to see today. I'll give you a quick look here in a second, but it's cloudy, fogged in. Again, just stopped raining. Everything's really wet still. So can't see a whole lot, but we are at the divide. So I'll show you that, and then we'll start looking for the headwaters of Ellis Run. So here's the divide. We're on top of a river ridge, Speck Mines Trail. If I look this way, I go into another watershed and look down, and I see Esther, the adventure dog. Right, she came with me today. This is the way that Ellis Run starts. So you see we're kind of on a ridge top.
Tim, I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna show it from mine because it wasn't showing.
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm just gonna. We're gonna start that again so we can see it. Okay.
Hang on.
Do you want to just try again? We just saw your PowerPoint screen.
Gotcha. I see what I did. Hang on. Let me see if I can stop mine from my end. Hang on one sec.
There's one side of the watershed,
Okay.
and there's the other side of the watershed. We're right here at the very.
Try one more time. How about that?
Sounds good.
Conservation District. We're going to do a trip through the Ellis Run watershed today. It's kind of a special day because we're right at the end of a pretty heavy rain event. So it's been raining for what seems like years, but really about 3 days. But we've gotten a lot of rain. So anywhere between 5 and 7 inches have fallen in this watershed. So a lot of water. I'm currently at the top of the watershed. So not a lot to see today. I'll give you a quick look here in a second, but it's cloudy, fogged in. Again, just stopped raining. Everything's really wet still. So can't see a whole lot, but we are at the divide. So I'll show you that, and then we'll start looking for the headwaters of Ellis Run. So here's the divide. We're on top of a river ridge, Speck Mines Trail. If I look this way, I'll go into another watershed and look down, and I see Esther, the adventure dog. Right, she came with me today. This is the way that Ellis Run starts. So you see we're kind of on a ridge top. This ridge marks the edge of the watershed or the watershed divide. And in this part of the world, you look at a divide, you're typically looking at it.
Oops. So my point there was kind of to show you that anybody can do this, right? And I typically do one take kind of things. And my goal was to kind of show students their own watershed, all the way up in the mountains where things start. And what I did was I traced the watershed from really a little seep all the way to the James River, which in the course of geography is maybe 5 or 6 miles total. It's kind of neat to see the huge change. Anyway, so videos that we're doing are sort of like that. I have a ton that we can do that I've had video footage for. It's just the time to go through and actually edit. Although we have been doing editing with Filmora is the software we've been using to edit. There is a paid subscription to this. It's about $70, but it's a lifetime subscription. And we found the platform to be pretty straightforward and easy to use. So far it's been worth the dollars. Pretty basic, either shooting video on the iPhone or with the Bloggy that all the districts received several years ago. It's been pretty cool. We haven't been using any external microphones so far, even outdoors, as long as it's not too windy. Recording has been okay. But again, it's not super polished, and that's kind of intentional, just something that's kind of rough, but put together in a way that hopefully will be useful for students to use and teachers. The other thing, classroom kits, and I know lots of districts do classroom kit kind of things. We've gone to the teachers who sort of are our frequent flyers for this, teachers who we already have been doing in-classroom program with and saying, hey, maybe we're not going to be allowed inside as much. So what can we do for you? We've added to our kit collection. One thing that we hope to add in the next few weeks is more video to kind of show what's in the kit, maybe some ideas to use it, just so folks have a better idea of how that might be used in the classroom. Most of our kits are really K through 8, but we started to add some other kits as well for high school. Other big thing we've been asked to do is do some virtual contexts. So a virtual context is basically looking at a field experience and then beefing it up. So it might be a good pre-field trip experience. This year, unfortunately, we may be looking at replacing the field experience with a virtual context. Google Tours is something we're playing with now. So how can we take students out to where we would have taken them beforehand virtually? And definitely not ideal. But I'm encouraged because I feel like down the road, this might be something that we could use when we are able to go back out again, just as a way to maybe prep students for that field experience, do some post-field trip work as well. Here's a panorama that I shot of our field trip site last week. And again, what I hope to do is be able to embed some photos and videos and data and other types of information in this picture. If I can figure out how Google Tours work. Looks pretty simple from my quick run through, but again, that's on my to-do list for this week. We spent a lot of time, I think, in the past couple of months trying to look at the big picture as well. So lots of us have seen lots of conferences and really great webinars to try and get our knowledge better. I'm excited about the NAAE conference this week. Just a chance to really kind of hit the reset button as far as your ideas. I know for our office, a lot of times we seem so busy in the fall, we don't have a lot of time to go out and look and learn more things. If one thing stays true after COVID, I hope this idea of a virtual conference will remain, at least to have access to recorded sessions that you couldn't go to. You can look at all the sessions that were at the same time that you missed having to pick and choose one. So I think being able to look at what other folks are doing around the country has been very positive for us. And also kind of going back to the district level, really figuring out what it is that we're doing and why, and where we want to go. So it's a pretty large group in Virginia helped out with the environmental literacy plan this summer. That is out. So looking at divisions, what is your plan for environmental literacy? Going down the road. I know I have a meeting with Botetourt County folks in the next month or so to try and look at the plan and see where we fit and see how we can do more and do better and help the schools reach those goals. Obviously, it's a time to look out for grants because at some point this pandemic will end, we hope, right? So I know the Chesapeake Bay Restoration Fund, lots of you use. That deadline is just passed, but there are lots more out there. So once you have a plan, I think it's a great time to go find some money to implement it. And the other big thing that we have not done a great job with in the last several years is looking at assessment. So again, there's been some really cool guides that come out in the last few months about assessing your programs. Are we doing good work, and how can we show that? It's one thing to feel like you are, something else to really be able to document. That we're making some changes in mindsets and in student perception. And I guess the last big thing is we've taken some time intentionally as a district staff to maybe educate ourselves more. Whether we're looking at environmental racism, or just lots of things that are coming up these days. Where do we fit in all this? What can we do? Those types of things that we feel like are important. And now that we've had a little time just to step back and say, hey, let's reset. Let's see how it all fits together. Okay. I think that's all that I have. If there are questions, I will try to answer them.
There's one question, Tim. Sarah asks, she says she'll be doing the Virginia Map Initiative interactive lesson via video. She doesn't have a microphone, is just using her phone. Do you think she'll need a microphone for that?
If you do it inside, I don't think so. And again, it depends on your degree of quality control. Like, do you mind it being a little bit rough around the edges, or do you really want it fantastic? We've taken a little rough around the edges is fine. We're not trying to be video experts. We're trying to get content out there that's useful. So I think that would be fine.
Yeah, no, I certainly am no expert by any means, but I will be doing it outside.
If you can do it in a place where you don't have a lot of wind, and maybe just try it first, take a few takes and just see, are you getting a lot of, typically if it's not windy, it's fine. Just don't pick a real windy day.
Well, I probably will stand pretty close to the phone. I'll have my kids and 2 neighbor kids out actually doing the activity, and I'll just be discussing it while it's being done.
Yeah, my guess is that should be fine.
Okay, thanks.
Cool.
Julie would like to get a list of what's in your owl kit. Kiptopeke State Park 4-H and her are thinking of doing a unit on owl pellets, so she would like that.
Sure, and my favorite owl pellet folks are discount owl pellets, right? Owl pellets for cheap. But yeah, I can get you that, Julie, for sure.
And then Ashley asks, what kinds of kits are most popular at your schools?
Soils kits, owl pellets popular. We do a water filtration kit where basically it's a variation of who polluted the river. So students pollute the river first, and then they build a filter to clean it up out of just consumables, coffee filters and cotton balls and things like that. So we kind of do the both, dirty and clean, and in the end, students really realize, hey, it's a lot easier to not pollute in the first place than it is to clean up your mess. So those tend to be some of the soils ones are really the ones that are in most demand, and flower plants. We have a pollination one as well. That's pretty popular.
Meredith would like to know she didn't catch the name of the video editing software.
It's Filmora. I think it's by Wondershare. And we did a little research before we chose that one. It had good reviews. I was a little hesitant. I feel like today's age, everything should be free, right? So the $70 was like, I don't want to pay that. It is a lifetime subscription, and it has worked out really, really well. I know there are others that are out there that are probably almost as good for free. We went ahead and just bit the bullet on that one and paid for it. But I've been pleased so far. But do some research and kind of see what might fit your needs best. But editing's pretty simple. There's lots of soundtrack kind of pieces if you want. It's a lot of drag and drop, so it's not super complicated. I mean, I learned it in about, I don't know, 15 minutes, and I'm stupid, right? As far as tech goes, so it was not bad at all. Right, that's a great comment. I peeked in there. Yeah, so Filmora, you can play with your video, your audio, and either boost or pull things out. So you could potentially block out some background noise. And if it's a take that was particularly low volume, you can boost the volume for that particular segment. Definitely, I mean, I think whatever video you're working on, do it in chunks. I say I'm a one take kind of guy, but I do a bunch of different video pieces that some don't even make it to the final piece. And that's the other thing I would recommend maybe is everything you film doesn't need to go in your video. So if you're doing, and I keep mine short, like maybe 30 seconds and a chunk at most. Yeah, if you film enough, don't feel like you have to put everything in. Just put in the things that are going to keep the storyline moving, the things that you really need. When in doubt, leave it out, right?
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. If you guys have other questions, please hold on to them for the end for Tim. And then I will also be sharing contact information as well as the PowerPoints with all of you following this meeting, so you can reach out to Tim or any of the other presenters today with specific questions. So again, thank you, Tim. It's really great to see all you're doing out with Mountain Castle Stormwater District. And next up from Area 2, we have Ashley Palmer, who is with the Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction, Bonnie. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I also have a presentation. And there we are. I hope everybody can see that, or if you can't see it, you'll stop me and let me know. So what I kind of wanted to focus on when I was presenting is a little bit about community engagement. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to really get back into our schools yet because there's a lot going on there, honestly. Our district as well, I'm in Northern Virginia, so I cover Fairfax County, and in our county, we have 198 schools, public schools. That's not even mentioning any of the private schools or the day centers or Christian day schools or things like that. So we do have a lot of schools, and there is at the moment just one of me. So in the past couple of years, we've taken a big push for community engagement and focus less on our youth and more of learning as a family. So today I'm going to talk about two particular programs that we've been working on through the course of this pandemic. The first is something called our Sustainable Garden Tour, and the second is our stream monitoring workshops. And what I hope to do is just in a short amount of time walk you through what the program is, how it's changed, and what you could do to implement it in your own district. Our Sustainable Garden Tour has been running for, I want to say, 9 years now. And it occurs in the afternoon on the second Sunday in June. And Fairfax County homeowners and HOAs and public spaces open up their gardens to tours from the community so that someone can learn about putting in a VCAP project or using native plants or other kinds of sustainable landscaping. And this is what that program would often look like before the pandemic. So what you'll notice is there's a lot of people who are close together talking to each other. You see a lot of signage, you see a lot of green, a lot of beautiful foliage. And what you'll also notice is that a lot of our attendees are retired or seniors. We get a lot of master naturalists and master gardeners who join us at the Sustainable Garden Tour. And so for that reason, it was particularly important for us to cancel the garden tour this year. We couldn't hold it in person, but then we had the challenge of taking this very physical thing and making it virtual. And so we did actually have that challenge of trying to make it seem like you were walking through someone's yard and through someone's space. So this is how we changed it around a little bit. As I mentioned, we are just the one county, but because we're so close to DC, traffic can be kind of nuts. And getting from one end of the county to the other can take more than an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And that's without traffic, without big traffic at least. So we used to just have our sites in one little cluster in the county, and we kind of rotate around. We also had to think about what made a suitable site. And when we were looking at suitable sites, we needed, of course, adequate parking. If people are coming around to look, we needed to be able to have some space for them to put their vehicles. We wanted to have a mix of both public and private sites. We usually would have about 8 to 10. When the pandemic hit, that gave us some more freedom with these sorts of things. We didn't have anyone traveling, so we could have our sites anywhere in the county we wanted. And we didn't really have to worry about parking, so that gave us some more options as to where we were able to visit. Normally, when we're prepping materials, we need to think of guides and sign-in sheets for each site, signage so that people know where they should be parking and where they should be going. And we needed to secure and coordinate our volunteers. So we had to make sure that we had enough volunteers to manage the people that would be at a site and our host wouldn't be overwhelmed. When it came time to do this in the pandemic, we kind of tossed all that out the window. We didn't need to have a physical site that we maintained. So that took a lot less time to coordinate all that, and it was actually a smoother process since everything was done online. Normally in advertising, we promote the event on our social media, and we also send it out in newsletters. We tell the supervisors' offices, parks, libraries, gardening groups, things like that. The program has really grown, so it's sort of word of mouth. Everybody comes year after year after year for the garden tour. This year, since we didn't have it in person, we made sure that we did a lot more of a push on social media to make sure everybody knew it was virtual and how to access it. So now what we did for our tour to kind of change it up and make sure that it was accessible for everyone is to create virtual sites and virtual site videos that were released throughout the entire month of June. These were offered through videos, through presentations, through live webinars. A lot of homeowners took the initiative to film their own sites. So I think from here, I've got some videos for you. This first one was with a lovely couple who've been on the tour before, and this is actually one that I filmed. So we have a couple of different ones I want to show you. And of course, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but if you are interested, there are up on our YouTube and also on our webpage, which I have a link for at the end. But we can just kind of see how they introduce their yard.
In our space, we've planted over 120 different species of native plants over the last 9 years. Some of them have done extremely well. some not as well. And in fact, in terms of challenges, I think one of the things is keeping the aggressive species where you want them, and also making sure that they're not taking over some of the less aggressive species if you don't want them to. So probably the sun is where you find a lot of aggression going on among plants. And so some of these spaces have changed a lot over the years. But one of our favorites is the native trumpet honeysuckle or coral honeysuckle. And that has done extremely well. And one of the fun things is you can make new ones, because it goes down into the ground and it reroots, and you can cut those off. And George has put a bunch of them around the back on trellises. So
I would have loved to share that entire video because working with them was so great. But that is an example of one where I went out to film. And I know there's been some conversation about microphones and whether or not they're needed. I'll definitely say in my case, we did end up needing a microphone. You can hear in that last video that it was kind of fuzzy. I'll talk a little bit more about equipment, but I essentially have an old DSLR, and you could hear the wind like crazy. And we were also close to the road, so we were getting some traffic noises as well. And of course, there's always going to be one or two birds who would love to be the star of your video. So there were a couple of sites that I filmed, and I'll talk a little bit about the equipment that we used and why we chose to do it that way. And then what happened for a lot of other sites is they actually submitted their own video. Not only did that save me a lot of editing work and time, but it was really great to see their kind of their take on how they wanted to present their garden. And that's something that you would see during the traditional garden tour as well. Every host is going to lead you around differently. Each experience is going to be unique. So the ability to capture that in video as people walked around their yards was great. So I'm just going to share this one that was filmed by one of our hosts. Just about a minute of that.
Hi, my name's Karen Pranty, and welcome to Karen's Native Plant Garden and Vegetable Garden. This is the front of the house. The corner here has a Japanese maple, and it has whitewood aster as a ground cover underneath. Has some sedum. I want to go over here real quick. My yard is an Audubon at Home wildlife sanctuary yard, and it's also certified as a wildlife habitat.
So with that last host, you can kind of see how she filmed it a little differently, as if you were actually walking through the yard, which is a really interesting feel. This one I'm going to pop out to. This one is a little different as well. So some of our hosts were not super comfortable using video, but you can still share what's going on in an engaging way without using video and staying within your comfort zone. So this is something called a sway. And to the best of my understanding, it's a version of PowerPoint. It's an interactive version of PowerPoint. Let's see if it'll let me open that up well. It will. So it leads you to a link, and essentially what you do is you scroll through. So then you can embed videos in here, you can embed text, you can embed links, you can put in photos. And so these homeowners kind of told their story in this way. So there's not a lot of audio for this, but they did include a lot of the information about garden beds and their natives and how everything has changed year after year and how they've grown. There we are. So in all, we had a lot of really good feedback. I'm not going to ask you to read this. This is a lot of kudos for us, patting ourselves on the back, but the program went really, really well. As far as advertising goes, we used social media to promote a lot of the programs and let people know what was happening. It's very important when you're doing something new like this that you are very clear with what is going to happen, when it's going to happen, when it'll be available. I can't tell you the number of emails I received asking me what was next. So we wanted to make sure we were very clear. So we had a lot of promos go out like this one on the right, where we said the name of the presentation that was going out and when it would be available. These were released throughout the month of June, so they were kind of spread out over time. We ended up having 11 sites. And then for each site, we had a promotional photo like one on the left. And those were used to kind of alert everyone, hey, this video is available now. And then we get the fun of looking at some numbers. So when we were promoting all of the garden tour posts, we ended up reaching about 12,600 people with our promotion of the Sustainable Garden Tour. And about 1/3 of that promoted the tour as a whole, and then 2/3 of it were advertising specific garden tours. So saying, for example, our gardens, our refuge of labor of love on June 14th was promoted about individually like 70% of the time. And then about 1 in every 3 people who viewed our posts on Facebook ended up actually viewing a garden tour site. So we had a total of 4,000 garden tour site views, and all of this data is as of July 1st. So for some of these videos, they had only been out for about a week or so. Our total counts have more than doubled since that time, but I wasn't able to get us very accurate numbers for this presentation. Based on views, our gardens, our refuge labor of love was the most popular one, and I really see that people who view the tours want to feel like they're talking to a real person. And so that feeling really, really made a difference. And then when we look at the impact of a virtual tour, each of these little plants here represents 5 hours of participation in the virtual Sustainable Garden Tour. So that's about 540 hours, which is a massive amount of time that people spent viewing our videos and engaging with our content. So lessons learned, if you want to do something like this. Utilize multiple methods of content delivery. Particularly now that we've been in a pandemic for months and months and months, we've all been through plenty of webinars. We've all been through plenty of videos. So make sure that not only are you using webinars and videos, maybe you've got some presentations, maybe some things are short, maybe some things are long, but making sure that you're producing something that is engaging to your community. Creating year-round engagement. This is held just for a couple hours in June. This year it ended up being the entire month, but it's really nice to revisit sites and see how they grow over time. It's also nice to plan who's going to be on your tour early so that they can get better photos and footage in the season or seasons before the actual garden tour. There's no reason that your tour couldn't be held in the spring or in the fall. We kind of picked that time because it was in between all of our other programs, but really throughout the year you're going to get lots of different blooms. So there's no reason that you couldn't kind of plan that out to visit a couple different spots, particularly if it's virtual and you don't have to plan anyone actually visiting in person your location. Be sure to plan your delivery. When are things going to be uploaded? When are things going to be shared to social media? We use a platform called Hootsuite to plan out our social media posts. You can imagine me in June trying to post everything every single day. It was kind of crazy. So instead we kind of scheduled that so it would come out when we were ready for it. And when it was time for something to be released, it was released. That's particularly important. If you say something is going to happen, you need to make sure it happens. And then providing resources and next steps. People are visiting these sites and then they want to hear about VCAP. They want to hear about native plants. They want to hear about sustainable landscaping. Give them the resources and next steps for those while they're excited about your program. If you would like to do something like this yourself, these are some of the tools that I recommend. Firstly, you need actual gardens to share. And so you can go with VCAP projects your district may have done. You can go with community spaces like libraries and things like that that might have a rain garden or something installed by your county. But you need that space to share, and it doesn't always have to be like conservation landscaping or something like that. This year we put a big focus on edibles. We have a new ability in Fairfax County to put front yard gardens in, which is very exciting. So we did feature a lot of those this year. You need the way that you're going to actually share what's going on. We put things on YouTube. We also put them on our website. You put them on social media. Just make sure you know what you're sharing and how you're sharing it. The hardware that you need is going to vary depending on if you're shooting the videos or if your hosts are. So it's kind of open to try and think about what kind of tools you might need, but I generally let most of the homeowners do their own videos so that way it had their personal spin on it. I did find having a quality camera is nice. I mean, using your phone at this point, it's 2020, our phones are incredible. You should probably be able to use your phone, but definitely do think about issues with sound like traffic noise, birds, wind, you may want to use a microphone. And if you're going out using personal protective equipment, making sure everybody's safe, especially if you're still planning on doing something like this in the pandemic. When I was filming, I was wearing gloves and a mask. I used all of my own equipment, and I made sure I was socially distanced from my hosts. And then you also need a software to kind of pull your video together. So we did just hear about one of the last presentation. I've had some good luck with WeVideo, and so has the county we've worked with. That one is mostly a paid service. They have a free one, but it's so limited. It's not generally a good option. And then creating promotional material. We use Canva, which helps us design Facebook posts, Instagram posts, headers, flyers, everything. You really should check it out if you haven't already. But that's definitely something I recommend looking into. So that was sort of our one and done program. And our stream monitoring workshops are something that we started many, many years ago and still continue, but we've revitalized them for the pandemic and making sure that everyone will be safe. I definitely recommend looking into stream monitoring if your district doesn't do that already. It's a great community engagement piece. There's tons of funding available, and it's very easy to do and very impactful. So I'll just go through this program briefly. Pre-pandemic, this is what our stream monitoring workshops look like. And now I see this and it makes me a little anxious because of how the world is today. You cannot be this close to somebody. All of our stream monitoring workshops had tons of people who were very close together. And so when the pandemic hit back in March, we shut this down immediately until we were able to make sure that we could bring everybody back with safety and caution. And as you'll see in these pictures, we have a wide range of volunteers, ranging from students who are still in elementary school to those who have retired. We have teachers, we have parents and families. So we really just want to make sure we were being safe with this program. So it's time to plan. Our sites rotate around the county. We have 6 to 8 at any given time district sites that we monitor with public workshops. We also have certified monitors who either work singly or in teams to monitor their own sites. And when we look at a suitable site, we want to have enough parking, of course, so that everybody can join us. We want to make sure we have safe access to the stream. But once the pandemic hit, we also had to think about making sure that we not only had safe access to the stream, but we had enough space to spread out, that everyone would be able to distance while they were working on their monitoring. In advertising, we were advertising on social media, on our website. We had a volunteer management system with the county, and we were incredibly, incredibly popular. And in fact, we were getting too many people interested in the program for what I could handle. So this was an opportunity to kind of pull that back as well and make sure we had a quality program. We were delivering more quality content and not just a high quantity of content. We had to manage the volunteer registrations and the certifications of our volunteers as they move through the program. Once we got into the pandemic, we were able to change that up a little bit. I no longer advertise my workshops on the volunteer management system or our website or anything like that. There is a small listserv that I've curated where I talk to some of our monitors and get them engaged in that way. For the workshop, we always had to pack and manage our supplies. We teach the introduction to the Virginia Save Our Streams program, which is VASWCD and macroinvertebrates. We sample our bugs, we ID our bugs, and we do our data collection. And all of this part here ended up changing during the pandemic because we had to do everything with sanitized supplies and with more distancing. So our workshops now look a little bit more like this. So you'll see over in the bottom right, that's a workshop that we had where everybody had set up their own table farther apart. I think at least half of them are smiling. It's hard to tell with the masks. So everybody is working only in family groups. So in these other pictures, you see families who are working together. If someone wants to volunteer singly, they do sign a pledge saying that they understand that we are still in a pandemic, that they will be within 6 feet of another person for 5 or fewer minutes, and that all their equipment will be sanitized. So you can see they've kind of got equipment laying about. I started creating these bins that just have all the equipment needed for one group, and then cleaning those up after each one and making sure that everything is sanitized, which, as you can imagine, with stream equipment can get quite dirty anyway. So we've still been pretty active in this community engagement. We closed down in March. We did 2 in March. I think the last days that people did anything on March 13th and 14th. And then we opened back up in August. Since then, we've held 4 official workshops and I think 2 or 3 minis held post-pandemic. We've engaged 50 citizen scientists in our program. And our stream score, which is scored out of 12, has been an average of around 6 to 8. Fairfax County generally scores around a 5 or a 6 because we do have very urbanized and paired streams. But we were happy to see that we've gotten some good scores, and we'll be excited to see into winter if that stays around the same. So unfortunately, I don't have time to talk in length about the Virginia Save Our Streams program, but I highly recommend that you look into it because this community engagement piece has been a large part of our district since 1997. We are now one of the largest and longest running volunteer stream monitoring programs in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we're very proud and happy and excited to engage our community in that way. If you're thinking about doing a program like this, think about what is the purpose of your program. Are you doing it to educate students? Are you doing it for citizen science? Do you want to create advocates for the environment? Are you trying to collect data? And then that purpose can kind of drive the setup for your program. Provide resources and next steps, just like I said with the garden tour, get them when they're interested. If they want to learn more about water quality, you need to have an opportunity available for them or at least one to point them to. Where does your data go and what is it used for? So if you're just doing this for education, you may not have high quality data that you can send in and use. But the data that you do collect, people are going to ask about. If they're monitoring your local stream, they're going to want to know what that stream quality is like. So you need to have a way to either share that data or somewhere to point them to again. And then long or short, these workshops that I hold are half hours long. But we have tiers in there. You can join me for a short workshop for one day. You can come to 6, 12, a dozen. You can join me all year long. Or you can become certified and you can monitor your own site. You can become a team captain and help a lot of other monitors and train them. So there's tiers of engagement to become more involved in the program. If you would like to run a program like this, if you'd like to do some stream monitoring and you don't already, the tools that you're going to need firstly are training. You as a facilitator would need to be trained on the method that you're using to collect your bugs. You could use the Virginia Save Our Streams program or other. I highly recommend Save Our Streams. You could also do virtual trainings, in-person trainings. The Virginia Save Our Streams program has done some virtual trainings and they're available on their website. So you can actually get your certification in large part online right now. So that might be a good thing to look into. You're also going to need equipment, and this is going to have to extend to include PPE now. A lot of the equipment can be grant funded. For example, with the Virginia Save Our Streams program, they pay for almost all of the equipment and you can get reimbursed for that. So this shouldn't actually be a big drain on the district or on your costs or anything like that. And then of course you want to make sure everybody's wearing a mask and things like that. So we also provide gloves and the biggest jugs of hand sanitizer you've ever seen. So think about that when you're thinking about equipment too. And then you need a way of getting your volunteers and managing them. So we've got everything advertised on social media. We've got an email newsletter, and we've got a new way of registering our volunteers that we have everyone's contact information for contact tracing if we need to do something like that. And here is my name and my title and all the stuff that I do. And these are some links for the Sustainable Garden Tour and stream monitoring. And I'm sure these will be available in the chat as well. So that's the end of that presentation there. It seems like everybody's been working on a lot of really great things. So I just decided to share 2 of those programs with you today, and I hope you take the opportunity to learn more about those. And of course, I'm available if you have any questions.
All right, if you have questions for Ashley, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We don't have any right now, but we'll see if anybody has them.
I will also say that another video editing software that I've used is something called OpenShot, and it works really well, but it's very time intensive. Don't ask me how many hours it took me to do the videos for the garden tour, because too many hours is the answer. I think all these things, they just take time to put videos together, especially since a lot of us are not filmographers, although I guess we can add that to many of our resumes now. But OpenShot is another free download, which I've had and it works pretty well.
Thank you, Ashley, very much for that presentation. Very informative, very neat to see how you were able to pivot your programming to still offer them during a unique time. Again, if you have questions, please do share them in the chat box. I'd like to next introduce from Area 3, Lindy Durham with the Henricopolis Soil and Water Conservation District. So Lindy, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Lindy Durham. I'm the education specialist at Henricopolis Soil and Water. My presentation for you is very short and sweet because that's how I like things. When most of your clients are 10 years old, they don't have a very long attention span. So you do everything as quickly and as efficiently as possible. This is what first let me tell you that we are a very small county geographically, but very large population. There are, I think 50,000 students in Henrico. We have 46 elementary schools, 12 middle schools, and 9 high schools. Most of my work is with the elementary schools, although I do Envirothon and scholarships and stuff for the older kids. Before COVID-19, so this picture could have been taken in my class on March 13th, where everybody's crowded around the table, doing the EnviroScape, laughing and shoving and having a good time. On March 16th, this is what it looked like. We have no students in school. Everybody's virtual, which sounds kind of bad, but for me, it's great that everybody's doing the same thing. So I don't have to do a crazy quilt kind of program. What I decided to do this summer, because I knew that this was coming, in fact, we don't even know when we're going back to school in person yet. They're supposed to tell us on October 22nd what we're going to do for the second 9 weeks. So it's been in bits that we've done things. What I did in the summer was to send out this constant contact email. And notice up at the top that I sent it to the teachers before school ended and asking them to share it with their students. I knew no other way to contact the students. What I did was offer Wednesday morning Zoom sessions on these topics, and the kids would sign up by registering at my email. And I did it that way so I'd have their email and I could communicate with the students individually. It was pretty well received. I had about 20 kids who came to these. All the July sessions were full. We decided not to do August because everybody signed up for July. But I did these different topics each Wednesday, and the kids really seemed to enjoy them, and it gave me the encouragement to try this with the schools once school started. Once the school started, this is what I do. I send out an email to every elementary school teacher. That was pretty labor intensive at the beginning to go through every elementary school's website and write down every teacher's name and email. But once I had them in the database, it's not too hard to upkeep it. And I showed them, these are the programs that I offer all year. They're slightly different than the summer ones. And it describes it. There's a doodle poll for them to sign up for what days they want. Now, usually I go into an average thing, just like the first picture I showed you. I personally go to every classroom and deliver the program. Now I go to every classroom, but it's over the internet, and it has some interesting things to take into account. The basic part of my programs remain the same. They're all PowerPoint presentations, and I can do those online, but I also like to do something hands-on activity with the kids. I'd rather they not watch me do an activity. I'd like them to actually do something themselves. That took a little bit of out-of-the-box thinking. This is the opening screen of my soil program, and we usually made something called, I call a soil sundae. It was a all kept in a baggie, a little shot glass and a spoon and little baggies of crushed up animal crackers. And we made a soil sundae that way. It didn't go bad. It didn't make a mess. And it was really easy to transport, but I can't send food into a classroom if I'm not there with it. So what I had to come up with was this kind of soil sundae. When we did it in the summer, the kids brought these things to the lesson. I would send an email to every kid and say, on Wednesday, please bring a Jell-O, layered pudding and some cookies and some night crawlers. And we made it that way. It was sort of a challenge with the school kids because not all my school kids are at home. Some are at the Y, some are at daycare. So that was kind of challenging. I had to give them a lot of notice to bring this. But it did work out. It actually tastes a lot better than the other sundaes that we used to make. And that's what they look like. And I could tell them to pretend that this is the parent material, this is the subsoil, and on and on. And then they get to eat it at the end. They always like that. This was a new one that I did this year called Feel the Wind. And I actually read this story to the kids. And what we did as our hands-on activity was made a paper helicopter. I got this for one of my Girl Scout badge books about air. And I emailed the pattern to the kids. And I emailed the pattern to the teacher who emailed it to the kids. And it's real easy. We just cut it out and flew them at the end of the class. That was a very popular one, especially for the kids who are in their bedroom and they could stand on their bed and let go of the helicopters. It really does fly. Then there was the poster contest program. And when I did it in the summer, it wasn't really a poster contest program, and we used this opening screen. In the school year, I used the logo from NACD. And everybody knows this one. It's the Cheetos pollen activity. Again, it was easy to do over the summer because the kids, everybody has Cheetos in their cupboard. We had the food issue at school again, but we worked it out. And most of the kids were able to bring Cheetos and do that one. This is the program that took the most time and cost the most money to do it virtually. When I go to the classroom, I just take my EnviroScape and we crowd around the table. I didn't want to just show them the EnviroScape and not let them participate at all. So what we did was we made watersheds. So that, and I might have this out of order. No, I don't. We had, and actually I have them here because I'm going to one of these from here. I had an aluminum pan and parchment paper and had the kids crumple the parchment paper. Parchment paper is really heavy and has sort of a waxy surface on it. So I had them crumple it up and then open it in the pan, cautioning them not to smooth it out because we wanted to have highs and lows. And then we sprayed water. And we saw where the water goes and talked about how it really does that on watersheds too, because we would end up with little lakes down in the lower part. Then I got this brainstorm to put pollution on there and decided that since my office is now my kitchen table and I have a Lazy Susan in the middle of it, I decided to use pepper. Well, I could see, pepper. So now I and the kids, everybody has pepper at their house. So they sprinkle pepper on top and then spray again and watch the pepper flakes flow downhill and into the river. So with those, I was a little anxious about these out-of-the-box activities, but they turned out really well. The kids have a different mindset about guest speakers now. They always loved having them, but they weren't as treasured as you are now for some reason. And I've gotten really good responses from them. I thought when I sent out that email to all the teachers that nobody would respond. Nobody wanted me to interrupt their school day, but apparently they did. I think I have a session almost every day where I go into a classroom, and sometimes more than one, and do these programs. What I like about this, some of the things that we've done, that we've changed because of the pandemic, I kind of hope we keep them. I kind of like this virtual classroom stuff. I don't get to see the kids, and I don't like that. Once my PowerPoint's up, I don't see their faces anymore. We use Microsoft Teams in Henrico County. We're not allowed to use Zoom, and Microsoft Teams is a little challenging. I haven't quite figured it all out yet, but I do like the fact that I don't have to load up a cart and drag it in the school and set it up in a classroom and then go to another classroom and set it up and then go to another classroom and set it up. I'm doing it all from here and going bing, 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 classroom, classroom, classroom without carrying anything. That's kind of nice. I kind of like that. Our poster contest was a little strange this year. We just wrapped it up. I just sent out the posters for my board of directors to vote. They're due to Bonnie on Friday. I had 150 entries, which wasn't bad for a virtual contest. The kids, the teachers downloaded the posters onto my Google Drive, and then I organized them from there. So we'll see how that goes. I even had high school entries this year. A couple of actually they were my Envirothon coaches, said, oh, if I don't have to collect posters and get them to you, I'll participate. So the high school kids did posters and emailed them to me. So, you know, it's amazing how some things you think that are going to be difficult turn out not to be. And things that you think are going to be hard to do turn out not to be so hard. And I'd really kind of like to keep some of this stuff that we have changed to.
Hey, Lindy, I have a quick question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one of my kids was calling me for school, so I had to step away. But after you crumble up the parchment paper, I stepped away, and then I came back and I saw all the writing that you had done, the lines and so forth that you had done in it. When did that step come in?
Well, I didn't use markers because I didn't know that the kids would have them. I just used paper, and it worked just fine. We used pepper or cinnamon or whatever they had to sprinkle on the landscape instead of using the markers.
Okay, so if we wanted to use markers, I guess they would just kind of...
They'd have to be washable, so they would dissolve with water.
Okay, and then they would just do the lines on the paper themselves and then crumble it up?
Across the divide, and the water would dissolve the marker and it would run down the hill.
Okay, thank you.
So Lindy, we've got another question. Julie, well, first she would like the pattern for the helicopter.
Okay.
And
it's a great one.
Then she was wondering what the Cheetos pollinator activity is.
Oh, well, you make you saw the pictures of the flowers on white paper, and then you glue a cupcake paper in the middle to hold the Cheetos. You put Cheetos in there, and your fingers are the bees. You go to one and you pull out the Cheetos, and then you go to another one, to another. Well, when you have students, you go from student to student, but we just went across the table to another one, and sometimes we ate them, which was nice. And what you end up with is Cheeto dust on your fingers, like in that commercial. And that's your pollen. And you rub it on the paper of the second flower, and you've pollinated that flower.
Looks like that's all the questions we have for now on this one.
Thank you, Lindy. That Cheeto game sounds really fun. And also the soils, it's really neat how you were able to bring the food element still with the programming, because I know kids enjoy that.
It's lovely.
Yes, and it just definitely sounds like this experience has made you get out of your comfort zone, but you're still able to thrive and continue to provide programming, which is your passion. So thank you for sharing that. And then, yeah, if you don't mind sharing that helicopter with me, I'll add it to the education binder, and also share with everyone. So next up, so thank you again, Lindy. Next up from Area 4, we're going to travel all the way to Southwest Virginia, and Elizabeth Bennett from Tazewell Soil and Water Conservation District is going to be presenting. So Elizabeth, the floor is yours.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and start to share my screen. I want to just say, yes, we are all in this together, and it is so encouraging to share with others. And I just want to say thank you to Bonnie and the folks at the association and all the district staff across the Commonwealth that have been absolutely awesome at reassuring me and definitely motivating me at a time when we are all definitely challenged. So thank you to each of you. I want to begin by introducing you and welcoming you to the Tazewell SWCD in Tazewell County. We are located in the heart of Area 4 in Southwest Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains. Tazewell County is primarily an agricultural county and the headwaters for 5 watersheds. We have the Clinch River watershed, the North Fork of the Holston watershed, the Bluestone, the New River watershed, and the Big Sandy watershed. Now that's definitely a handful of watersheds, and we're unique as all of the water from our watersheds sheds to the Gulf of Mexico instead of the Chesapeake Bay. So we're just a little bit different. The Clinch River, which is travels throughout Tazewell County, it is known by the Nature Conservancy as the last great place in the world. And it has the world's largest collection of rare and endangered freshwater species. So we are the hot spot for more than just the COVID-19 virus. So we are proud of our Clinch River. Currently, our farmers here in Tazewell County are busy harvesting their crops and storing up that hay for winter. The farmers are weaning calves, they're marketing their commodities and shipping the cattle north and also into the Midwest. Most of our calves are born during the spring months, but we do have some farmers that are preparing for fall calving, and they're busy with that. Here we have the back of the dragon. I will take my cursor. I hope everyone can see that. You'll see the curves. We have one of East Coast premier motorcycle routes. It's called the Back of the Dragon. Tourists and sports car enthusiasts, they travel from all over the nation to travel on this 32-mile, 300 curve showcase that travels over 3 mountain ranges. And they're just beautiful views from all throughout that tourist area. And Burke's Garden, which will be in your my top right-hand corner, it is the Oval Bowl. It's a valley of fertile land that has been surrounded by mountains. It was once the bed of an ancient sea. It is the second highest mountains at being 3,000 feet above sea level. In the 19th century, the Vanderbilt family traveled to Berchtesgaden to build their estate there. The farmers there would not sell them any property, so they traveled on down into Asheville, North Carolina, where Biltmore Estates is currently located and the winery. The garden is just buzzing with agricultural activity right now, and it's not uncommon to see the Amish children traveling to and from school on their little bicycles, and also the horse-drawn buggies going to church on Sunday. So I invite each of you, if you have an opportunity to come down this way, we'd love to host you here in Tazewell County and give you a tour of our area. Bonnie asked me to highlight our adult education activities and programs we are hosting here in the Tazewell County. First is our rain barrel workshop. It was originally going to be an adult workshop. However, we found out as things went on, it turned into a multi-generational workshop. We had parents, grandparents, and young children all involved. We hosted this at an outdoor picnic shelter. This helped us to adhere to the CDC guidelines. We were able to do our social distancing. We were able to have PPE available to each one of the volunteers and participants, and that helped us to stay safe as well as our participants. We set up 4 different stations inside the picnic shelter. We had a group of volunteers that came. We did not allow the participants to touch the tools. We didn't allow them to really do too much of the hands-on activities other than moving their barrel from station to station to minimize the contact from one person to another. We had 65 participants in our workshop, and we felt like that was very effective for our community. This did include folks that were just from their community. It also incorporated folks that were running greenhouses, and also teachers from the schools. They came and participated to take back rain barrels to their schools. And we provided information to the participants on how good it is for the plants and the soils, and to provide more water resources in times of drought. It helps to reduce the runoff and erosion, and it also benefits the participants by it saves on their utility bills as well. So we really enjoyed meeting these folks. It was not hard to have a workshop and practice our social distancing. So that is a good thing to have if you don't already have one of those in your area. This is something that is definitely going to be new to our district, is our livestock mineral feeders. This idea came from a farmer that has participated in numerous BMPs, EQIPs, the CREP programs. They have a farm, a large farm, and we have found that these barrels are definitely environmentally friendly. They are made from a recycled barrel. We cut those barrels out. They are put inside of a truck tire and secured there with some hardware. And then we attach an eye bolt to the front of the tire that you can hook to with a pickup. You can also hook to that with a ATV, a UTV, and move it as you move your cattle from paddock to paddock. This helps to eliminate damage to the pasture. It helps to eliminate or reduce the amount of erosion and foot traffic that the cattle have around these mineral feeders. This is pretty much a spill-proof way to distribute mineral to the animals. and that saves you money. If you've ever bought livestock mineral, you know how expensive that can be, and definitely the salt getting into the soil is not a good idea. And a lot of places you will see a mineral feeder attached to a tree. It doesn't take very long before that tree is the tree will die because of the pollution from the salt getting into the soil and being absorbed into that tree. This type of feeder is very versatile. It can be used for your cattle. It can be used for sheep, goats, just a variety of different livestock can use that. And it really does help to, with the erosion, and also helps with the saving you a lot of money in helping to promote the rotational grazing plan. Our Trash to Treasure workshops are, as I call them, they're stress relievers. We have men, women, children come to our workshops. We do have them in a very large multi-purpose building where we have room to set up families at each individual table, yet have social distancing. We encourage the families to bring things from home, such as your creamer containers, your cans that you would be throwing in the trash normally, anything that you would have around the home that you would be normally throwing into the trash. We ask you to bring those little things, and we do make them into other items that you can use to decorate around your house. As you can see, these ladies, their sisters, they took some old boards and some old molding and made the very cute little scarecrows with them. The snowman is a wine glass and a wine bottle and just a sock on top of the wine bottle. Makes a cute little setting to put right beside your table. And then we have a lot of Halloween decor. And of course, the little snowflakes are made out of wine corks that are sliced, glued together. And then all you do is just add a snowflake to them, a little bit of glitter, things like that, a little piece of extra ribbon you may have around the home. The turkey there is made out of a sock and rice. Those are so cute, and they are also great boo-boos for children. If you've ever had a place that you want to put a little bit of heat, you're hurting or something like that, you can pop that into the microwave just a moment, warm up that rice, and it is really comforting to you. But the Trash to Treasure workshops is definitely a recycling event that we use in our district with all the generations. We have children all the way up to adults that attend and participate in that. Due to the COVID pandemic and more of our homeowners in our county cleaning out their barns, their garages, their outbuildings, you know, just really sprucing up, they took that this free time, I would say, to clean up around their areas. That has turned into being a negative effect on our landfill. Our county administrator and our board of supervisors are concerned about what may happen if we exceed the poundage amount that is being allowed to go into the landfill on a daily basis. This could be a very costly situation, and we don't want to incur on any cost. So we, as the district, decided to go ahead and host a Tazewell County Recycles Day. This would include a hazardous household waste collection, a tire collection, document shredding, newsprint recycling, medication collection, and also the cardboard recycling. The tire recycling, we collected over 700 tires in a 53-foot box trailer, and it was filled to the top. This included tires all the way from bicycles to tractor tires and your tractor and trailer tires. We are thankful for our community for their efforts in bringing these to be recycled. If you'll notice in the center bottom of the screen, you'll see a little red car. This car waited in line over an hour to bring this one little tire. So we were really pleased to see the participation, and we hope to start this and make this an annual event in Tazewell County. We have done tire recycling, we have done hazardous household waste, but never have we got together and done one huge event on one day. And we utilized our Tazewell County Fairgrounds for this event, and it took lots of partners. And I just want to say that without partnerships, it is so difficult to pull off any program, any activity. It's always good to have not only your financial support and partnerships, but also those that can come and help you set up for events and be able to present a quality event that will be a good impact for our environment. One of the things in our area is the concern of substance abuse, and this medication collection, we collected over $7,000 worth of medication. So we were very, very pleased with that. And our substance abuse task force is a group here in Tazewell County, and they came and they handled all of the medications. We had the sheriff's office on hand, so the district staff did not have to worry about the liability of accepting a person's medication and the liability of and responsibility of getting that to a recycling center. So it was great to tap into the assets there from our sheriff's office. And of course, we did not make this elephant out of tires that we recycled. I'd like to think we could do that, but it looks like a tough job to do. But I will say it gave me an opportunity to think outside the box. It gave me an opportunity to be more creative. I am like Lindy. There's some things that I really, really like about this virtual and the different things that we can do, but I also feel like that I miss being with my community. You know, it's hard to do programs, and it's difficult to make sure that you're safe and everyone is practicing their social distancing and still have a program, but we are still continuing to keep on, and we hope that our district has been able to share some things with you that maybe you're not doing in your area. And I appreciate the time. And at any time anyone would like to contact me, I'm more than glad to listen, learn, and share.
All right, we've got several questions for you, Elizabeth.
Okay.
The first is, where did you get your barrels for your rain barrel workshop?
Okay, we use the Upper Tennessee River Roundtable as our resource to purchase the barrels for us. I think they're anywhere from $10 to $15 per barrel, but we do get grants to help us to purchase those, but that is the agency we go to get the barrels.
And then do you have any instructions on how to attach the fittings to the barrels that do not have removable lids?
Yes, we are getting ready to do a virtual video, and I will share that with Bonnie, and she can put that up on the association's YouTube channel, but that's in the works. I'm a little old school, so learning Filmora and all these other things has taken me more time than it did Tim, definitely.
And then who provided the manpower for the tire recycling and who paid for that?
The Tazewell County Board of Supervisors provided funding for the truck that came and picked up the tires. Our local fire departments did the manpower of removing the tires from the vehicles and the trailers that came and loading them into the box truck. So we utilize our local fire and rescue units to do that manpower for us.
And then where did you hold the events where you could do all of that at once, the medication and the tire recycling?
We do that on the midway of our fairgrounds. There's area there that we can line up the traffic and hold them until all of the recycling areas are set up. We do it in sort of a circle. So if you come with tires, you come with medication, you come with cardboard, you just circle around the circle, sort of like a round robin, and drop off and leave.
And then I think you might have touched on this one a little bit. Do you plan to do the Trash to Treasure program this year, and how do you make it COVID friendly?
We have not done a Trash to Treasure workshop since the COVID began, but we do plan to do that for the Christmas holiday. And we have a large multi-purpose building at the fairgrounds, which everyone will have more than enough space to be 10, 15 feet apart. We're going to have pre-registration where you're going to reserve your table, and at your table we will provide some supplies there for you, such as your hot glue guns, your glue, and things like that, so that we're not passing items from participant to participant.
All right, looks like that's all the questions that we have right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. For sharing all your programming. Also, I liked how you kind of gave us a sense of place of where Tazewell County is. Virginia is such a large state. It's really cool to kind of like, when you guys are speaking, to really kind of have an idea of your community and a visual. So thank you for that. And thank you for all you have shared. And I really liked how you said you're ready to listen, learn, and share. I feel like that can be kind of like a program theme to 2020 year. Next up is Area 5, Elise Corbin. Elise could not be here today, and so instead I'm going to share her presentation, and I just ask for your patience while I get that set up. Okay. Okay. So Elise Corbin is the education coordinator with the Peter Francisco Soil and Water Conservation District. And she has definitely been doing similar programs to what you all have seen already, but I just wanted to take some time to show you all. Okay. So she wanted to talk about her website, which we'll visit in a second. But for her website, it was created using the Wix platform. And I know some of soil and water districts are interested in doing websites and want to know what the best format is out there. So if any of you are wanting to work on your website or maybe go with a new platform, definitely reach out to Elise. She says Wix is easy to use and made creating virtual programs simple. The basic business plan is $276 per year, and the domain cost is $14.95 a year, so very affordable. And then let me take you to her website because it is very interactive. Sorry, let's see. Okay, so this is their the website that Elise has created to offer virtual education programs from the Peter Francisco Soil and Water Conservation District. And what Elise has done is set it up so it's different by topics. And then when you hit on a topic like soils, that will take you to a more in-depth lesson plans. And on there, she's done a lot of videos. And the videos are something that she started doing this spring.
Honey,
and just Yes.
We can't see your website.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's do. So can you see it now?
I gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I apologize for that. So this is, take you back. So in the spring, Elise really dove in and started to organize all of her virtual education programs. And she was able to do so making videos and also providing content. And so this is the landing page for the Peter Francisco education programs. And then if you scroll through, she's kind of divided by topic. And so for soil programming, she has videos that she created. And Elise is definitely another person to reach out to about all things videos. And she's kind of just taken this idea and run with it. So I'm going to just share. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second because I want to make sure that I can share the sound. Okay, I can. And I wanted to share a quick introduction to her.
Hi, I'm Elise Corbin. I'm the Education Coordinator at Peter Francisco Soil and Water Conservation District, serving Buckingham and Cumberland counties. Today, we're going to talk about soil. And so, what's the difference between dirt and soil? Well, the easy answer is dirt is what gets underneath your fingernails, and soil is that amazing stuff that's underneath your feet, the ground. And so dirt kind of sounds dirty, doesn't it? Kind of has a negative connotation. So when it's on our clothes, underneath our fingernails, wipe our brow with it after we worked in the garden and it's all over us, that's when it's dirt. But let's refer to it as soil when we're talking about that amazing substance as part of our Earth's crust that just provides so much for us. So why is it important to conserve?
So that's just a quick introduction to the videos that Elise has done. Has like what you've either heard with other soil and water districts, they have a Peter Francisco YouTube channel, which I will share. And she just has really just shown how just going into your backyard and just using things on hand to really just kind of get the information out there about the topics that we know so much about, be it soils, be it watersheds. So there's their website. Let me jump back to her presentation. So again, she's just giving instructions about what we did was like how we scrolled through to kind of looked about the soils, and she's actually broken it up to do elementary school content for middle school, and content for high school. And then she wanted to kind of give you guys some information about creating videos, similar to what you've heard already from our fellow presenters today. She had a family member use her cell phone to record, and or she was sat in front of a computer and recorded herself. She felt the videos are very basic and didn't have any editing software, but she had to do some retakes, which I feel like everyone is practicing doing retakes, and then worked with her local cooperative extension agents to look about software. So again, the partnership component. All the videos were uploaded to YouTube, and then once that was placed onto their website. And then this is like a quick video, which I can share later, about how to create a YouTube account for those who are wanting to, as you start creating more videos yourselves and you want to place them somewhere, it's easier to place them on a YouTube channel versus on your website because they don't take as much room. And you can also put videos on YouTube that are unlisted, and so that they're not viewed by the public. There's ways within YouTube to keep your videos there, and different systems to set up that if you want people to visit public access, don't want public access, you want kids, the videos are for kids or not for kids. There's a lot of, but it's very user friendly. And speaking from my perspective, creating our YouTube channel is definitely just a lot of just kind of like learning how the system works and like uploading videos. And the more you do it, the more familiar you become with it. And I'm sure Tim and Ashley can speak more to this as well, being that they themselves have, their districts have a YouTube channel. So I know this is short, but I wanted just to kind of, again, show you some examples of what the Peter Francisco Soil and Water District is doing. And Elise has another really cool program that she's working on that she'll be sharing soon, with just kind of mapping watersheds throughout the James River. So I will share that presentation with you all so you can check out the website, and please do reach out to Elise if you have any questions about what she's doing. Again, she's another great resource for programming. Check out our website. And just again, another example of how she's just taken the circumstance that we're in, used her creativity, and still able to offer programming to her community. So on that note, I am going to turn it over to Area 6, which is going to be Julie Head, who is with the Eastern Shore Soil and Water Conservation District.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted and I think I have my screen shared correctly. I'm Julie Head, and I'm way over here on the Eastern Shore and don't have some of the same issues as some of you do as some of the others. We have a total of, what is it? 9 elementary schools, public and private, 4 middle school, high schools, and a private K-12 school. And then this year I've actually been able to do a lot of connections with some of the homeschoolers. So we've still focused more on the kids' education in the adult, but I love some of these ideas. I really want to do the tire recycling thing, which was why I asked who paid for it, because that is an issue here on the shore. So anyways, I think hopefully you all know that the Eastern Shore is a part of Virginia. If not, I don't know what to tell you. And it's been kind of an interesting year, like most of you have found. We've had some ups and downs, kind of depending on what's going on. One of the things that I did this fall, we've been working very hard on presentations, checklists, checkout boxes. Some of you already had those. We didn't have so much on that on the shore because we are small, so it's not hard for me to take individual requests. And working with Kiptopeke State Park, we had caterpillars and chrysalises, and we met with all the public school second grade classrooms in Northampton County, which we weren't trying to exclude the private schools, they just did not get back to us. But what we're trying to do to make this easier on teachers, because I'm not that long out of the classroom and it's been a tough year, and it's going to be a tough year. So when we took out the caterpillars and the chrysalises, Ranger Stan did the presentation on the butterfly life cycle, and I added a little bit, but mostly it was his presentation because he's done that before. Really like working cooperatively with some of these groups. We had the butterfly enclosures, but what we also included in all of this is stuff to go with it. Because as a teacher, it's very frustrating if somebody just drops off caterpillars and chrysalises, and even if you've got the enclosure and the milkweed and says, oh, here, have fun. So they actually got a whole kit this year. Stan and I provided the teacher training if necessary. One elementary school we could meet with the students, the other one only with the teachers, and even that because they've got a new principal, so we were like, meeting in the parking lot of a church, and we kind of felt like drug dealers, but it's just caterpillars. But I either made or came up with or searched the internet. There's a lot of stuff out there that was butterfly themed, and so I made up the vocabulary word wall cards and laminated them and cut them out. And then there was also a laminated sheet that had the definition so that all the teachers in a grade level were using common definitions. All the materials instructions were there for a butterfly life cycle craft because I didn't want the teachers to have to see this craft and go, yeah, but now I've got to go to the grocery store, I've got to go to Walmart, and I've got to get all these things. So it was this cute little paper plate craft. The paper plates were there. The 4 different kinds of pasta were there. All that the teachers had to provide for this craft was the glue sticks or the glue and the markers, because they're supposed to be doing those, not, you know, they're not supposed to be sharing those resources. So they already have those. Variety of themed language arts activities, math activities. Do I expect the teachers to use them all? No, I don't know exactly what they're covering at the moment in those, but like one was a cute thing for estimating measurement to inches, which is a 2nd grade standard. And so in case they could work that in, same thing, I copied those out, laminated, cut them out so that it's all there and ready to go if they can use it. The other issue that in one county, it's not an issue to copy in color. In the other county, the teachers are not allowed to copy in color. Found a really cool checklist that this one happened to be specific to the Eastern Shore, and it had the common butterflies, life size, and in color. So included enough color copies of that. The teachers could send it with their kids on the home days and say, okay, I want you to go outside and look for butterflies for 30 minutes and see how many of these you could find. Teachers really loved it. Kids loved it because it was something different. Because kind of like Lindy found, you know, they're kind of desperate for things that they can do that break up the day a little bit. Supporting teachers, I've worked with, in particular, one of the high school science ecology teachers and put together some web quests. One is soil, it's more than meets the eye. I'll pull them up in a minute. There's another one based on rocks to soil. And then there's an assignment on what's in my soil, the soil texture triangle, which same thing. These are all based on high school standards that the kids are supposed to be able to do. Before I show you those, I mean, I'm more than happy to send them to you. It's not proprietary by any means, but I did them in Google Docs so that it would be easy for the teachers to upload to whatever platform they have to use, because our teachers are in our districts and even sometimes our schools are not using the same one. Make sure you provide an answer key with it so that the teachers don't have to spend time making one. If they choose to make their own, that's fine, but it's nice if that's just there. I also sent it out to a couple teachers, asked them for their feedback, and made adjustments from there. You know, if they thought something was too long or not long enough. So the first one, which I will attempt to expand my screen. It's based off of a video that was on YouTube, and it's from Rocks to Soil. The video is not very long, probably 6 or 7 minutes. But it forces the kids to interact all the way through, not just watch it or pretend to watch it, which is an issue. There are actually specific questions that go with specific parts, and they'll probably have to pause the video to fill it out. But all the teachers felt like that was good because, I said, that way they can't pretend to watch it and come up with something. You know, the answers are in the video because I made this. They're probably not out on the internet yet because, trust me, kids will find a way. But just kind of scrolling you through, it was kind of nice because it is online for the county that's not allowed to print color copies. Kids still get it in color. So that was the formation of soil. And then this other one, which, because it's based on a Smithsonian thing, I'm assuming it's going to be updated with the whole Flash player thing. But the Smithsonian has a really cool website called Soil, It's More Than Meets the Eye. And so this walks kids all the way through. This goes from figuring out that not all soil is the same to things farming in particular is doing to protect the soil, and then things that they can do. But it was cool. It had a state, takes the state soil from each state, and they can look that up. So there were things they could do there. There was even a thing on Meet the Soil Scientist, which was kind of cool because it introduces kids to the ideas that there are jobs out there that they may not even know about, which I know on the Eastern Shore is a struggle. And then it just, like I said, it goes through each page. And this website's interactive because they actually go in and make recipes and stuff with different things. So anyway, same thing. Tried to make it colorful, tried to make it something that I would have wanted to, that would have attracted me as a teacher. because if you put together any type of a webinar or a video and your title is 20 words long and I can't understand it very easily, I'm not even going to watch it. And then the soil texture triangle was it's pretty basic, but it's something, same thing the kids could do in an online day. If they're 100% virtual, it works. If they're, hybrid, it works. Have the soil texture triangle and then a number of questions that they work through. So that one's pretty basic. It was all things that the teacher said, this would be helpful. This is something we could use that we wouldn't have to create themselves. So let's go back to that one. So that was high school. And then I know some people, not so much the education people, but sometimes some of the board members are, they aren't doing science or ag. What do we do now? Some of it has to do with thinking outside the box, which, I think some of us have done, and sometimes it just takes somebody saying, hey, have you thought about this? Spent some time this summer looking at books and found some really cute ones. This one I found at Walmart a couple weeks ago. It's called 10 Little Farm Friends, and it counts backwards from 10 using baby farm animals and their moms, but it uses correct terminology like piglets and foals. And then I went through the Ag in the Classroom teacher, that should say matrix, sorry for my typo. If you've never looked at the Ag in the Classroom teaching matrix, there's a ton of stuff out there, and it's kind of neat because they, a lot of times they already have some professionally made up things. That the one that I've got, one of the ones that I have that goes with this is there are matching pictures to put, like a bull and a cow and a calf together and then use the right terms for it. So it's something, it works into, standards, and that they're counting backwards from 10, they're learning the names of animals. And then there are some free worksheets that I've either been finding on the internet or making where they can practice tracing numbers and writing the words of various animals. So it gets our message out there, but the focus on, hey, here's this book that, is something that's literacy based, which is really the focus this year. Because if I've only got a kid 2 days a week, if they can't read, they can't do science, they can't do history. The other one, and I haven't finished putting this one together, but it's a cute book. It fits the second grade math standards for fractions perfectly. And it's called Holy Cow, Fractions Are Fun. And I'm going to have checkout kits so that there's the book and then there's other things that go with it. But I'm working in order to get the same thing, look, we can teach fractions, we can read, and then I kind of sneak in some of the other tie-ins. I've got a worksheet that's, they've got half a bale of hay. If I eat half a bale of hay in the morning and half a bale at night, then it equals 1, because the standards are for halves, thirds, fourths, and eighths, and maybe tenths. I got to look that up. So I've got like for grain, they'll eat a third corn, a third soybeans, and a third oats type of thing. So kids have to figure out 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 is 1. Hopefully they'll kind of remember what a cow eats, which are all farm products. And same thing, I found some other things. This one I found on the NACD site, and it's going in the Holy Cow because it's about, do you like ice cream? And it's reading, but it certainly teaches about pollinators. If you skim through that, bees help us have hay and ice cream. Some people like pineapple, which takes birds. Chocolate takes flies, and bananas take bats. So it kind of slips some of those messages about, oh, we can't have any of this stuff without pollinators. But it's not forcing the teacher to take time away and just teach pollinators. So that's kind of the type of stuff I've been doing with some of those. We've also been focusing on outdoor classrooms. I'm really fortunate over here in all the cooperating agencies I have. And one of these is the UVA Research Center in Oyster, which I'm supposed to call the UVA LTER, which I think is long-term ecological research or something. But along with them and the Master Naturalists, Master Gardeners, we are working on outdoor classrooms. One school has a great setup. It's, was ready to go, and we've been able to use that for student presentations because it was outdoors, and that principal was okay with it. The second school that we've been getting up and running again, they have a great facility, but it needed really to be cleaned up. And so we've spent over 30 plus hours weeding and rearranging to allow for social distancing, rehabbing some tables. And now we're working on lessons for each grade that the teachers could go outside, and same thing, we're going to provide stuff, so if it's, say it's sequencing, there will be 12 to 15 bags that have everything in there that the kids can sequence, so that the teachers aren't going, okay, great, I could teach this outside, I can go outside, but what do I do? I'm trying to give them, specifics and all the hands-on. We had surveyed the teachers at the one school, and they specifically asking them about barriers to getting outside in their garden once we had it cleaned up, and they had asked for clipboards and an outdoor clock and an outdoor whiteboard. So we've got those and set those up so that they had what they needed. They already had garden beds, so we got those weeded, and I said, if a teacher wants to plant something, let me know. So one of them wants to do kale, so we're gonna take some kale up so that they can plant that and the kids can watch it grow. We've got several schools that have come to us about outdoor classrooms, so those are gonna be next, and then we'll start approaching the others. Our school districts, most of them have taken the approach that if there's an appropriate outdoor classroom, then the kids can go outside and with social distancing, take off their mask. Like I said, one school even let one of the park rangers and I come in and do the presentations because we were, a long ways apart and outside. So the benefit is, yes, we're putting some time into these, but we're also getting to use them. And time are we at? That coming next week, for those who've signed up, this worked on all summer with a science teacher and an English teacher, middle school, really excited about it. It is a wraparound literacy program that is all based on the book, A Long Walk to Water, which a number of you are going to, for those who are signed up, I know Bonnie made arrangements to get you the book. It's an awesome book. Yeah. I was looking for ways this summer for something like this. I haven't found one for soil yet that's engaging enough. But this book, you'll, like I said, read it. We'll talk about it next week. The English teacher helped me come up with everything you would need for English, and the science teacher came up with some absolutely incredible lessons. Yes, I was a math teacher, but I'm credentialed in science. But I went to this particular science teacher because she knows what the kids are weak in when it comes to middle school science, because she's been teaching it for a long time. And like I said, the lessons she came up with are just incredible. So that's my plug for next week. And I think that's most of what I have.
All right, we've got a couple of questions for you, Julie. The first is, where do you find your volunteers to help with the outdoor classrooms?
Like I said, our master naturalists and master gardeners usually have some people who are still willing to come help because it's outside. So that's nice. The University of Virginia, they've been great. They actually brought one of their maintenance people because we had branches that needed to be trimmed. So we needed some more manpower than just us. So I'm fortunate in that we have that. I think if we were in a regular, not meaning pandemic, a lot of the schools on the shore, we struggle with parent involvement. But I think if you were in a place where you didn't have that struggle, where you had functioning PTAs, that would be another great resource to pull from. We had teachers who were interested in maintaining the garden that we rehabbed, but when we got up there, it was like, okay, I can see why teachers don't even know where to start, because we spent 30 hours and we've still got some more to go back and do. But I do think most of the time, like the schools I grew up in, the PTA was active enough that we could have pulled volunteers from there, or the schools that my kids were in California, we could have. We've got some kind of unusual situations here on the shore. But master naturalists, master gardeners, have been great resources.
Okay. And then for the pollinators and ice cream activity, Elizabeth would like a link for that and was asking if it's on the NACD website.
It is, and actually, Elizabeth, I can just email it to you because I saved it to my computer because I don't know how I found it on the NACD website because it's very, very difficult to find. And luckily I'd saved it because I went back to look for it again, and I don't know how I found it the first time or where it's at, but I would be more than happy to send you the copy. And it's a cute little page. I mean, it just, and like I said, it ties in ag, it ties in pollination. So yeah, I probably have your address in my stuff. I'll send it to you. And I'll send it to Bonnie if she wants to send it out, because I said it's buried in there somehow.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh, Jennifer found it. But yeah, I will send it along. I fell in love with it. What can I say? I'm a weirdo.
All right, does anyone have any other questions for any of our presenters at this point? We still got a few more minutes left here.
I'll throw this out here. It's not a question, but it's really, I mean, I miss Graves, but it's been neat to see how people have worked around this. I loved your idea, Lindy, of those 30-minute online sessions. Don't know if I can get anybody to show up, but certainly worth a try.
And Julie, if I can just speak to, thank you for sharing what you shared. Again, next week, Julie will be presenting on the Long Walk to Water, and as part, and each district is receiving that book, and you should start receiving it as early as today and as late as Friday. Do take a chance to read that book. It's a very short read, but very, I don't want to give away, I really enjoyed the book, and I appreciate having the opportunity to read it. So we'll be talking about that book next week with Julie. Again, I want to thank all of our presenters today, Tim, Ashley, Lindy, Elizabeth, and Julie. Some common themes that I heard through all the presentations. While there's a lot that's not working, there's so much more that is working. Partnerships are still working. Being creative is still working. Being helpful, even like today's discussion and how you guys have learned from each other. Sharing resources is still working, and collaborating is still working. So there's a lot that is working, and I know sometimes it's hard to think about that, but I hope today that you do leave encouraged. I hope you leave motivated, as Elizabeth said. I hope you leave inspired, and I just hope you all just leave knowing how appreciative you are and how you guys are all doing really good work in the midst of all this. And I really hope that you guys hold on to your passion for doing the work that you do and continue to share your passion with your community. And we will continue this all together. So if I can give a round of applause again to Tim, Ashley, Lindy, Elizabeth, Julie, and thank you to Michael Trop with John Marshall Soil and Water District, who was our commentator for questions. So thank you. And also thank you to Mara and Kevin from my from the association's office, who helped with some Zoom production behind the scenes. I will be following up with everyone with an email with all this information too, so that you guys have it. Please do continue sharing. Please do continue reaching out to everybody for ideas. And maybe come spring, we can revisit to see what you guys are doing as like the education panel 2.0, to hear like how you guys have built upon what you've already been doing. So does anyone have any last questions or thoughts before we end today? Okay, I think we're kind of just like all letting everything we learned just kind of sit and just like marinate in our brains. Okay, well, it's about 12 noon, and again, thank you everyone for joining today, and thank you again for all you're doing, and I encourage you to just keep well and keep safe, and I hope to see you guys in the Zoom atmospheres soon.